Welcome to the Total Rewards Expert. I'm Adam Sutton. If you're navigating the real world tension between market data performance and employee perception, you're in the right place. On this channel, I test AI in the world of HR and total rewards, explore where it helps, where it falls short, and yes, have a little fun along the way, sometimes at my own expense. I'm also the founder of Sutton Business Velocity, where I partner with companies to turn total rewards into a true competitive advantage. If you're looking for practical, field tested insight, visit SuttonBusinessVelocity.com and make sure you subscribe right here on YouTube. Thank you guys. Um, Welcome to Series 4. I am really excited about this. I can't believe that I'm in the fourth series. I'm trying to think back to all the series, and there's a lot that's been happening. So I'm really excited to be here with this content. I'm hoping that people are beginning to watch some of this. I know that the viewership has been somewhat low in the beginning, and as I in a sense, build out the business and Sutton Business Velocity and the Total Rewards Expert. I'm pretty sure that, we'll start to see some people jumping in along and hopefully we'll get some conversation going in the community and in the chats. And we can start doing maybe some live streams and getting some, participation from, viewers and so forth. So I'm really open to suggestions. I just need the comments. I need the feedback from you. So for those of you that are listening and watching these religiously, which I appreciate, definitely go ahead and provide your feedback because that will definitely give me direction and tailor how we're going to take things going forward. But I figured for Series 4, what I intended to do was to let's first call up Gemini, for instance, over here. So I have Gemini sitting up on the screen. And basically what we're going to do here is try to figure out what Gemini would say if I was to go ahead and enter the exact same scenario that I entered into Claude. So let me go ahead and grab that scenario, um, which is up over here. Sorry for my asking you to wait for a second. Okay, so it has been entered. So I basically have a company that is going public, 2,500 employees, domestic technology. It's 8:15 in the morning. My manager sent me a message, which was basically just a forward from the CTO, and the message was saying we just lost another one, paying 15% more base and throwing in sign-on equity. We need adjustments fast. We can't lose momentum. Fix it today. Comes back from the CEO. We've done some analysis using a blended survey, but the market has changed. Um, it looks like there's some maybe job architecture issues that were suggested, and we're already, in a sense, over budget by 4%, which, in my view, is really a budget adjustment of 4%, but they're calling it an overage of 4% thus far. So if we have this sitting now in Gemini, we can go ahead and allow it to, let us know what it thinks of this situation. This is a classic pressure cooker scenario in total rewards. You're caught between a CTO who needs a talent surprise, CEO demanding an instant fix, and finance department pointing at a budget that's already bleeding. With 5 years of experience, fixing it today doesn't mean changing every salary by 5 p.m. It means presenting a credible, data-backed decision or action plan by 5 p.m. This is actually nice if you were here in Series 3. We're now in Series 4, but if you were in Series 3, you'll see that ultimately, that is what got called out by Claude. It had missed the boat there. The immediate triaging analysis before responding, you need to quantify the damage. You aren't just looking at one DevOps engineer, you're looking at the structural integrity of your tech org. If the market jumped 15% in 9 months, your blended survey composite is effectively obsolete. You need a hot jobs premium analysis specifically for DevOps and cloud engineering. The compression issue, liberal promotions have created title inflation. If your seniors are making nearly as much as principals, your career architecture is broken. A 4% over budget reality, you are already over the budget, likely because of those liberal promotions used as retention band aids. So, this is where I say that it's not an over budget. You're not 4% over budget. You're from the perspective of finance, you're 4% over budget. But from the perspective of a total rewards leader, you have adjusted this market by 4% upward because you clearly responded to something. You've made liberal promotions and retention band-aids. So the market adjustment as 4%. So that's happened. That's not an overage, that's happened. The strategic response plan. You cannot simply raise pay for everyone by 15% without tanking the IPO evaluation. You need a more surgical approach, which phase A, stop the bleeding, identify the high risk flight risks, work with engineering leads to identify the critical 50, retention bonuses instead of permanent base pay increases that come out proposed one time, retention grants. These vest upon successful public offering, aligning. So this, when you do things like this, then you do need to have conversations with your underwriters and any financiers or companies looking to buy you. Um, Anything that is going to end at the time of the IPO means you've retained them up to that point, but now they're free to go as of the date of the IPO. So a lot of times companies on the receiving end don't like these kinds of things. Phase B, I think I'm going to call that out, by the way. Phase B, structural recalibration, lead market strategy, move the engineering pay philosophy from the 50th percentile to the 60th or 75th for tier one tech roles only. Wrong. I do not agree with changing comp philosophy because a couple of people quit. Not happening. That is not Sutton business philosophy. This is too quick to react. And this is not fourth dimensional thinking. There is a lot that's going to happen when you change the pay philosophy of engineering. So I will call that part out. Fix the grade spreads. Broaden, excuse me, broaden the pay ranges if the gap between senior and principal is too small. You must stretch the top. This is all changing comp philosophy. B. Phase B, I don't like. C. The cost of vacancy argument. Remind finance that losing a senior DevOps engineer costs roughly 1.5 to 2x their annual salary and lost productivity, recruiting fees, and onboarding time. Being 4% over budget is cheaper than missing the IPO window. I'm not really sure what that's accomplishing. Anyway, it doesn't have a comparison of any approaches because I guess it doesn't have any approaches to compare itself to. So this is clearly an AI glitch. The email back. You need to manage expectations immediately. Subject, action plan, engineering, market adjustment, and retention. I am prioritizing this today to maintain momentum for IPO while addressing the 15 market shift improvement. Now, this total rewards leader has stated addressing the 15% market shift. Is that really true? What analysis has been conducted to figure that out? I'm pro- I don't I think Gemini was worse than Claude. It grabbed the need for some sort of retention. It definitely, I don't know if the word reset is needed. It's not necessarily structural reset. I think it's a job architecture review. I think I'm just going to post in here the same thing. No, so we don't want it to go any further. But what I am going to do is I'm going to give it my feedback, my recommendation. So please hold for 1 second. Sorry that I'm not that good at this yet, but I'm getting better, I promise. In case you've noticed, I've gotten a lot better with a lot of this stuff. So, all right. So, if you remember what my feedback was to partner with the HR business partner and manager of the division to conduct a job competency alignment review to assess relationship of current DevOps job to the established job structure. Guys, it is so important to remember you are not here to change comp philosophy. You are here to make sure that we adhere to the philosophy and that we do our assessments to see where there are chips and whittling and things happening that tear at it, because our philosophy is probably covering 80-85% of the company. That other 20 to 15% of the company, it's just going to fall out. So we just have to be okay with that. Partner with the business partners and the manager to do the job competency review. It is not going to take that long. We just need to figure out, based on the information we have, who are the people that are sitting in the positive part of the performance and competency spectrum, and who are the people that are not. We collect the hire and turnover data related to division from the past 6 months. That's important because we need to create some context. Is this a loan issue, or is this an issue that has really been established over a period of time? Contact the survey vendors to establish a new baseline. Now, this whole part is about that relationship building and making sure that you have the ability to work with your external market data vendors to provide accurate and reliable information on the spot, even if it can't be specific. Just directional is sometimes all we need. Number four, plot a four-square heat map that identifies where the employees are relative to the competency axis and also relative to the pay axis. Those two things are going to identify for you the box where it is important to identify really simply and visually and easily for the leadership team who are the people that are falling in both the high area of competency and low area of pay, which typically are the people that we need to protect. Okay. If we do have people that are in high competency and low pay, that is the circumstance to bring them up in the range. That is not the position, that is not a decision for the compensation leader to make to adjust compensation philosophy. Now, if the vendors come back and say to you that there has been a plus up in the market, here are the hot jobs, sure, go ahead, add the data, put in a footnote that you've taken the existing range and made a plus up adjustment based on blah, 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 that has come from your research and analytics and relationships with your peers. Number five, model bringing the identified employees' pay into the upper third of the pay reference range. You always want to pay the people that are high in competency in the upper third of the range. They should be ready for a promotion, and almost certainly the market will be paying them at probably, I would say, roughly the 75th percentile of the market. I know that most people have, their own salary ranges, which are a basis of, say, the midpoint or some other reference point. But more or less, when you add a plus from the midpoint and a minus from the midpoint, the plus will probably get you close to the 75th percentile of the market. I'm just being generalized. So that's really what you're doing. You're not adjusting the market to the 75th percentile. You're now moving the employees that are highly competent and marketable in the market to the 75th percentile, because you want to know that 75% of the people that are in that job are paid less than they're paid the most. So it's going to be harder for them to leave the company. It's a more thoughtful process to leave that kind of comp, especially when they're ready for the next promotion. Propose a long-term incentive plan. You can read through that. There's obviously a way to do that properly. It doesn't need to be IPO. In fact, I actually would recommend moving it beyond the IPO. That would be more beneficial to both sides of this. I would do a ripple effect assessment, because you need to understand that when you change this, this, and this, that there are other things that come as a result of that. So you want to make sure that if you are making those adjustments, for instance, that these people do not report into managers and then are earning more than managers, that managers are not on retention plans and their employees are, and they're aware of it, all kinds of things. So there are lots of things to look at in terms of ripple effect, and create a report outlining the inputs, the heat map, and so basically you want to just go ahead and do that and brief the CHRO and CFO on the financial impact. So there's a whole process that I've asked it to go through, and now I want to see how it's going to react. So here we are in Gemini. I think in part two, we're going to go ahead and do this in Copilot, and then we can go ahead and do it in ChatGPT as well. So we'll get a couple of different perspectives. This is a comprehensive, sorry for my cold, people. This is a comprehensive, sophisticated roadmap that demonstrates a high level of total rewards maturity. You aren't just reacting to the fire with a bucket of cash. You are diagnosing the underlying structural issues while preparing a data driven defense for the CFO. Your step-by-step approach hits the three pillars of compensation: internal equity, external competitiveness, and financial sustainability. An analysis of the recommended steps that I gave. Diagnostic phase, steps 1 to 4. You focus on job competency alignment. Step 1 is critical because promotions were granted liberally. You likely have principals doing senior work without fixing the competency mapping. Any pay increase is just subsidizing title inflation. It's exactly right. You got to know what everyone's doing. The heat map, step 4. This is your most powerful visual tool. By plotting competency against position and range, you can visually prove to the CEO that the people leaving aren't just unhappy, they're objectively underpaid relative to their contribution. The modeling phase, targeting the upper third of the range for high competency employees, is a classic lead the market strategy. Since the company is preparing for an IPO, you have a unique lever: long term incentives. This is the golden handcuff. In a pre IPO environment, RSU or option grants are often more attractive to tech talent at a 15% base salary bump because the upside is theoretically uncapped. The executive alignment, step 8 and 9, the ripple effect evaluation is where most junior professionals fail, but you've included it. Raising DevOps pay will inevitably lead to, well, why not me? Questions from the back end or data engineers. You must be prepared to explain why DevOps is a hot job with a different market reference point. Strategic refinement, the IPO context. Since the company is mid-size and going public, two specific nuances could strengthen your report: burn rate versus talent density. Finance is worried about the 4% budget overage, and your briefing time frame the compensation adjustment not as an expense, but as an IPO risk mitigation. If the IPO dev if the DevOps team walks, the S1 filing could be delayed, costing the company millions in market timing. This It's true. I mean, I think a lot of this is risk mitigation. I mean, this is, you want these people to stay. The carve out budget, instead of a permanent 50% shift for all engineering, propose a critical skills premium, a temporary supplemental pay tier. No, I don't want to raise salary for these people because the market changes here and there. So you can give them the money, but attach some sort of tentacles to it. Allow them to evolve through the regular, typical process, because, like what we were seeing from the perspective of the finance team that was looking at a 4% overage in their budget. Well, where does that 4% overage come from? It comes from just giving too much money out and fixed expense. And that constantly, it goes up and up and up. If we are adjusting the market by 4% and we can isolate the 4% cost, is this, we'll call it this DevOps team. Next year, maybe we don't have that cost. We pull that out. Now the budget isn't progressively higher. We moved out the piece that is no longer needed, and the budget can restore itself in a sense to where it's supposed to be to begin with. Summary of data inputs to make step 8 airtight. Ensure report includes this table structure. And it didn't even include the table. Wow. So Gemini is really having some, we'll call it some glitches. I'm sure this has to do with the fact that I'm probably in the free version, but let's let it be. It didn't give me the information. The liberal promotions mentioned in this scenario have likely created a ceiling issue. If you move seniors into the upper third of their range, they will collide with the principal pay floor. You may need to recommend a one-time structural shift in the entire tech salary structure. I disagree with that. It's okay for people to be, there is always an overlap in structures, by the way. I have been in enough companies to know this. Maybe if you're working for the government, that may not be the case, but outside of the government as the exception, you could be in level 1 and at the highest end of level 1's range. Level 2's lowest point is usually below the upper point of level 1. So there could be that situation happening. It's rare, and we don't have lots of people in those situations, and we have analytics and flags to call that out. But there's no need to make a one-time structural shift to the salary structure. That's a philosophical change. Again, not fourth dimensional thinking. There is no need to change the pay philosophy. If we need to whittle and we need to adjust and mold the pay philosophy, we should go ahead and do that. But unless we're intentionally looking at the pay philosophy, we really should be trying to get everything to adhere to it in our own creativity and the way that, I guess here, and I'm saying it again, our fourth dimensional thinking tends to lead us in that direction. So I think it's very important to learn from this. I think the AI tools are missing. Um, they're not quite at the expert level that I thought they would be at. I thought I'd see more, but I'm not. I didn't see it in Claude thus far, and I think Gemini is falling a little bit short too. So there you go. So I don't know if I'm going to continue forward with this. I think I do want to get to part two, three, and four, which are going to be, Copilot and ChatGPT, which are hopefully going to give us a little bit more insight, and then we'll be able to go back in a sense in that part four, right? Yeah, or part five. I don't know, whatever part it is. We'll go backward and we'll take a look and we'll compare some of them and draw some insights to it. And again, I'm hoping we can get that AI expert to join us for a live stream to evaluate some of this. Um, Thank you very much for continuing to follow along. I can't wait to get you into part two. Maybe what we'll do is we'll start to add a little twist and turn along the way. I'm going to think about that a little bit for part two. Make something. Maybe we'll kick it off with something funny that left off where we left off here in Gemini before we kick it off into Copilot. Until next one, thank you very much.